Hello. This is your garden, so it is my turn to greet you first. Not really. No, that's not the issue. It's just, you've been my guest so often up till now. Now that I am suddenly the guest, I find myself unused to it. What should I do? Chat with you, or perhaps play games together? Really? In that case, can I stroll about, singing as I do? Can I take a nap anywhere I choose, should I wish to rest? And would it be alright to pick some of the plants you've planted? You know, as you sometimes do with Moonfall Silver at Silver Moon Hall. Only a jest. So long as they will help you on your journey, I would never object. You've created a very pleasant environment here. I'm already satisfied to just enjoy it in peace. I wonder, should I try decorating Silver Moon Hall as well? Sure. I might need you to start us off, though. I don't usually chat with others. Even when I was with the Fatui, I mostly sat in a corner during meetings and refrained from participating in debates. Most of the topics were boring anyway. Someone wants this or to fight for that, and nobody would give an inch. More vexing was how they would sometimes seek out my opinion. My eyes were always closed, and so they assumed that I was listening in silence. In truth, most of the time I was either sleeping or simply not thinking about anything at all. But responding was not an issue. At times like those, I would pick one of the questioners and indicate that they were right. That always did the trick. If Regrator or the Rooster were arguing, I'd side with the latter. And if the Doctor and Arlecchino were locked in a debate, I'd pick Arlecchino. The captain was always in the right, and while Sandrone could be quite stubborn, she was generally right as well. And if the captain and Sandrone were to ask me at the same time? That was quite rare. And were it to actually happen, I'd say that both sides had a point. They're both very independent-minded. My opinions would not alter their judgment. What did you want to talk to me about again? Is that so? Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. In truth, I prefer speaking with Kuhenki rather than humans. Their thinking is pure and simple, and they do not hide their thoughts. Let's play. Tell me a story. I want to sleep. There's something nice over there. Seen through their eyes, the world is simple and beautiful. I'm already here as your guest. Would it really be appropriate to have you fulfill my requests as well? Very well then. In truth, I do have something I need help with. Lauma said that she would introduce me to the Frost Moon Scions of today, in the hope that I might integrate into this family. I'm glad she said so, but also a little worried. I rarely interact much with strangers, so I worry that I may not be capable of keeping up the conversation. I do not wish to make them feel uncomfortable. Could you help me rehearse? Or rather, simulate situations I might encounter? It's simple. Ask me questions that the Scions might ask, and I will answer. If my reply is inappropriate, let me know. I know, but this is a rare opportunity, and I wish to get along better with them, so... Then, let's begin. I will. Hmm? I'll travel, won't I? That means I'll leave. Oh, I see. I will be clear. Sure. No. If your child happens to be a Rhyme-horned deer... Very well. No. Sandrone of the Fatui, and Arlecchino too. They are quite curious as to my life here. Huh? They mustn't see? Would they not approve? I see. In that case, I'd like to invite Malaus, Mr. Albedo, and Miss Nicole. Malaus and Mr. Albedo are talented artists, while Miss Nicole is a gifted writer. I'd like them to chronicle the happy lives that the Frost Moon Scions lead today. Yes, and as for Sandrone and Arlecchino, I shall sneak them in when the opportunity presents itself. Yes, and I will not. My answers are not yet good enough, are they? We should practice more if we have the chance. Good night. I'll do my best not to sing while you are asleep. Good morning. May you find success in your journey today. Though the moon has now hidden, this blessing will stay with you on my behalf. I heard about you long before we met. Back when I was with the Fatui, I remember the other Harbingers talking about your deeds. But you have so many titles, I fell asleep before they even got to your name. Could you give me some tips for traveling? Like, how to talk to people from other nations? I should focus more on fire-building skills, hunting techniques, and... transport? Huh. Couldn't I just use Kuvaki for all that? The three goddesses bestowed their powers upon me, which converged into a force that is both dazzling and gentle. Through it, I can feel their attachment to this place, and I can sense the hopes and wishes they offered to this world in their final moments. I will inherit their moonlight and use it to illuminate the world beneath the moon. The place we all call home. Back in Snezhnaya, being third of the Fatui Harbingers came with a lot of perks. I didn't need to purchase a ticket for the train or stand in line for the Korolievsky troupe. And when I dined at a restaurant, I could get reimbursed. That was a bit too complicated for me to understand, though, so I just tagged along with Sandrone or Arlecchino instead. The moon is more beautiful than I could have imagined. Blue Kuvaki flowing like an endless ocean. Magnificent jellyfish drifting across the sea. Pink frostfin whales coming from places unknown. Enormous Kuhenki. It's magnificent. Once I've made my home a bit more presentable, I'll invite my friends up to visit. Aiming a beam of moonlight at Llama's head makes their antlers grow taller. And if you get the angle just right, you can even get them to stab a piece of fruit that's too high to reach. What then? Oh, you get scolded. Oh, we kept in touch until a short while ago. I asked her to recommend some books for me to read to the Kuhenki. She sent a whole lot and even gave me detailed explanations about the inspiration and setting for each one. I asked her when I might be able to read a book she had authored herself, but then I suddenly stopped hearing from her. Perhaps she went off to write one. The Hydro Dragon who serves as the Eudex of Fontaine? Another dragon who puts people in prison. I'm not sure I'd want to meet him. If we cross paths during my journey, I'll be sure to say hello. The first time I sang in the gardens of Zapoliarny Palace, the Tsaritsa happened to pass by. She stood there, silent and motionless, like a statue with no expression carved onto the face. For a moment, I felt as if she wanted to say something to me, but she never did. She seals her emotions beneath thick sheets of ice. The outside world sees but one side of who she is, that of the Tsaritsa. If the answers I sought rest on the moon, perhaps hers lie buried in snow and ice. He's quite the opposite of his code name, and that seems to be intentional. Although he's known as the Jester, his tone is stern and serious, and he speaks in confusing riddles. The mask he wears depicts a grin that mocks the world, but he himself never smiles. Many respect him, but just as many fear him. Is that too confusing? Well, you see, creatures accustomed to living in darkness will never choose to get close to the light. It's too dangerous, for light would only lengthen their own shadow. There was a time when the doctor took care of me, even claiming to think of me as his sister. It was only later that I discovered, the closer you are to him, the more freely he uses you. What's a little discomfort among family? We endure for each other, surely. That's how he thought of things, and I could tell he meant it. But I didn't want to have to endure. Expectations like that, they took me back to my first home, and the eyes staring up at me from beneath the altar, so full of greed. The House of the Hearth is home to many children, and it can get quite noisy. The first time I heard them call Arlecchino father, I thought it was a rule that had to be followed there. So, the next time she passed by, I used that title as well. That's when I learned just how quiet the House of the Hearth could become. I can teach you to talk just like him. All you have to do is combine the words money, that darn pantalone, and mark my words. Here, I'll show you. Where's the money? Mark my words, I'm going to kill that darn pantalone. Or, that darn pantalone is going to cough up the money. Mark my words. See? Isn't that fascinating? I wonder, does the key on her back ever stop turning? Does it change direction? Does she remove it when she sleeps? How does she roll over? I've been curious about that key ever since I first met her. But since we weren't close then, it didn't seem right to just go up and touch it. So whenever I had the chance, I would follow behind her, trying to figure out the pattern of its movement. But one day, she suddenly turned around and demanded to know why I kept following her. After I told her the reason, she said, "If you're that curious, why don't I put one on your back, and you can see for yourself?" So I lived with a key on my back for a few days, and it was quite the challenge. Sandrone doesn't have it easy, so I've looked out for her even more since then. I'm not sure what counts as death for a puppet. All I know is, Sandrone isn't moving, and I can't feel her operating. Her key is just stopped. And all because of the technique she used to bring me back. She said she was going to get back at me that one time. How I wish that's all this was. Just an attempt to scare me. In his eyes, everything and everyone has a price tag, and he gets to decide their value. We're all just bargaining chips he can use to expand his ever-increasing empire of wealth. But who would want to visit a boring empire like that? Not me, that's for sure. If he saw me now, I'm sure his smile would hide even more contempt than before. I can almost hear it now. Congratulations, Miss Columbina. Your value has appreciated. If metamorphosis ends in one's wings being engulfed in flame, perhaps remaining in the cocoon is how one survives. But I doubt Rosaline ever considered making that choice. Or perhaps she had determined her own end from the very beginning. Whether it was love, hate, or a simple dance, she gave her whole self to her pursuits and left others to sing her dirge after her departure. I've heard he has a good relationship with his family. They go camping together and have barbecues by the lake. Sandrone says he's the Harbinger who lives most like an ordinary person. I don't really understand ordinary people, but that kind of life sounds nice to me. Huh? My story? That might take quite a while to tell. Oh, you brought tea and snacks? Well then, I suppose I could share a bit more in return. I used to spend a lot of time learning how to interact with people and go about life in this world. But looking back now, perhaps my experiences with the Frostmoon Scions and the Fatui weren't the best teachers. For a long time, I thought relationships were transactional. Their only purpose being figuring out what you can take and what it might cost you in return. I love telling stories to the Kuhenki, and I love to sing. There's a blank space in my life that has existed since before I was born, and has shadowed me since. My story was incomplete from the start, so I've learned to use other stories to fill in the gaps. It's like painting a picture. I sketch the outline with words and color it in with song. On Moon Prayer Night, I received a name that belongs to me, Columbina Hyposelenia. I used to think a name was nothing more than an alias, something separate from oneself. But after that night, I realized my name is what connects me to this world and the people within it. It is all that is intangible. Their friendship, love, and support, manifested for the world to see. I will cherish it forever. My story is like an opera played in reverse. The ending came first, and I was left searching for the whys and wherefores. But if I could go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. I quite like it as it is now. Without this journey, I never would have known that being born in Nodcry was my own choice. My friends never would have helped me connect with my true family. And you never would have followed Luanatar into Silvermoon Hall that night. My story would have been empty in a very different way. I don't like that version one bit. I like to go up to the moon and watch Tevat revolve in silence. It brings me peace. I wish I could take a stroll in Nausea Town like a normal person, but I keep getting recognized. Is it my outfit? Or the fact that I talk to the Kuhenki in town? Do normal people not do that? Oh, whenever Sandrone was mad at me, she'd give me things like this too.
你好，这里是你的庭院，所以这次轮到我主动打招呼了。好呀，但或许需要你来开启话题。我平时很少和人聊天，就算是在愚人众，开会的时候，我也大多待在角落，不加入其他执行官的讨论。他们的话题大多很无聊，他想要那个，他又要争取这个，互不相让。但令我困扰的是，有时他们会来征询我的意见， 我一直都是闭着眼睛的，他们以为我在安静的听，但很多时候我不是在想其他事，就是睡着了，但也不是没法接话。每到这种时候，我只要随便选一个提问的人，表示他或他说的对就行了。夫人和公鸡争辩的话，就说公鸡说的对；博士和艾蕾奇诺的话，就选艾蕾奇诺。队长总是对的，桑多涅有时比较固执，但一般也是对的。如果队长和桑多涅同时问我意见，这种情况很少见。如果真的发生了的话，我可能会说两边都有道理，毕竟他们两个其实都很有主见，我的意见不会影响他们的判断。哎，你是要和我聊什么来着？是吗？你喜欢听就好。比起和人交谈，我更喜欢和月灵们聊天。他们的想法都很单纯，不会隐藏自己的想法，想一起玩，想听故事，想睡觉，那里有好东西。他们眼中的世界很单纯，也很美丽。